and any other lawyer would have written a letter and answered it, and it would have gone away. But when I wrote my answer, I was accused of lying, and then more charges were filed against me.
So is it fair to say that they seem to be coming after you not because of the way you're practicing law, but because of the substance of those cases that you take on, in particular vaccines, parental freedom, health freedom?
Well, you know, it is easy to draw that conclusion, particularly given the timing of these charges. You know, I was served on a Friday night before I left to attend this West Virginia rally on parental rights. And, you know, it's kind of odd that they waited till my office was closed and then to try to serve me with something to suspend my license. You know, do I really know what is motivating them? No, because a lot of these proceedings are secret. I don't know what is being discussed. I do know that the investigating attorney, when she met me, did tell me that she didn't like my tone. And the only tone that I'm sure she was aware of was that in the media with the H1N1 and perhaps something that I had written. And, you know, it's just endless. You know, even if it wasn't about vaccines, it's still the harassment's been endless. Every time or most times when I answered something, I was brought up on more charges for lying.
Well, let me get to the substance of the harassment here. I have a letter in my hand from the state of New York signed by Gary Casella, Chief Counsel of the 9th Judicial District, and he demands a written answer from you to the allegations contained herein, and that your answer should include a detailed list of all of your firm's current clients, including their docket numbers and copies of all their cases. Isn't that a violation of basic attorney-client privilege?
Yes, and quite possibly a violation of HIPAA and my client's First Amendment rights to the free exercise of religion. I mean, a lot of the people that I represent don't vaccinate because of their religious beliefs. So it is unusual, but what's important here is that this is the second time I've been charged with this. In 2009, a pediatrician here in New York filed a complaint saying that my work was designed to assist people to subvert the law and that it could actually be a public health risk. And when I answered that complaint, I was not charged with that, but I was charged with an advertising violation that sought the same information that is being requested now. And when I did not provide that information, I was admonished, I objected, and when I objected, I said I was going to appeal. And as I was leaving the secret types of meetings that are held, or let me be clear, the closed doors meetings,
yes.
I was followed to the door, and I was told that if I appealed, I would be brought up on higher charges, which, you know, is also very questionable because what else, you know, are they holding back on me, you know, or something? I don't really know. You know, it's really a scary thing, and I am quite upset about it, but I had no choice but to go public.
Let me get to some other language that's contained in this complaint against you. They have a finding, they say, upon a finding that the respondent is guilty of misconduct immediately threatening the public interest. Now, this is based on the assumption that vaccinations are the one and only way, you know, granted by God to protect public health. Now, that is provably false, so there's a lot of scientific fraud behind that, but this reasoning that they can do anything they want to you, they can violate attorney-client privilege, they can take away your license to practice law, they can harass you because you don't comply with their distorted definition of what is in the public interest, this strikes me as egregious and very scary in a society that's supposed to be ruled by law.
Well, you know, what's happening here is that I was admonished in 2009 on these complaints that were very, very mild, and I had provided, I mean, that's a really harsh sanction. And I provided evidence to the contrary to basically all of the allegations, you know, and so they found me liable of violating these ethical codes. I chose not to appeal them because I was afraid. And now the harassment continued, and I brought another lawsuit to try to stop the harassment because one of the complaints was time barred by the statute of limitations. You know, you don't have to go to law school to know about. Any parent with autism knows about the statute of limitations. And because I, an attorney, filed a lawsuit to protect my rights regarding a decision that was incorrect, I'm now being charged with violating yet another admonishment. So it's a constant snowballing, and it's starting to get twisted and perverted. And, you know, and of course, people are so quick to judge attorneys in particular, and they're very harsh. But, you know, I'm quite clear that I've done absolutely nothing wrong. And if I did do something wrong, it was exceptionally minor. And it's just this snowballing effect and harassment and intimidation.
Well, Patty, it seems that this judicial district has taken the position that anything that big government says is correct for public health, that if you defend someone to opt out of that, then you're evil. So if the government said that all children should be bloodletted, that you should take half a pint of blood from your child every evening because that's great for their health, and you defended parents to say maybe we shouldn't take blood from our children, you would be harassed for the same thing we're seeing here because the government says bloodletting is good for children. I mean, there's no sense to it.
Well, you know, as I had stated previously, I don't know what is in the minds of those individuals reviewing my record and picking apart my life and my practice. I do know that these charges against me were bogus and ridiculous. And I know that when I defended them, the evidence I provided was overlooked. When I wanted to appeal, I was harassed. Then I filed a lawsuit finally to stop the harassment, and now I'm being charged with violating the underlying admonishments. The issue, though, I think that is scary here is that the advertising claim, you know, my activity on the internet is obviously being monitored.
Right.
Because someone from the grievance committee went to my website, found this statement, and is now trying to charge me with violating making the statement 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I wouldn't give up the kids' names, and I'm not giving them up now. And I don't know why they're harassing me, other than I do know that they told me they don't like my tone. And I find that, you know, I have a right of speech. I have a right of inflection in my speech.
Well, let's talk about what can the viewing public, the INFOWARS fans out there, do to help support your cause here? Is there a website they can go to? Is there a letter they can write to someone? What kind of action can help support you?
Well, you know, that's interesting. I would ask that, you know, people do go to my wall, Patricia Finn Attorney, and, you know, kind of stay close.
Is that a .com, Patricia Finn Attorney?
No, on Facebook. You can go to
Facebook.
Patricia Finn Attorney. And that would, you know, you can certainly watch what's being posted and what's being said. As for writing letters on my behalf, I don't, as an officer of the court, would not encourage anybody to deluge the court or, you know, or the grievance committee with letters, although people are free to do whatever they want. And I was certainly free to take this to the press. I don't think any lawyer probably that I know of has ever done something like this. But Mike, I have to tell you, you know, practicing law is a joke. I make absolutely no money whatsoever, and they want to now come and take my license from me. You know what? They can have it. The work that I've done, so much of it is pro bono. They make me look like I'm some fat cat here taking advantage of people, and it's completely not true. I have lawyers working for me. They haven't been paid in months, and we still come to work, and the harassment is endless.
Well, we know they will twist reality to tell their narrative, their false narrative, in whatever way they want. In fact, I would say that you're being victimized as part of what we call the Wakefield effect, referring to Dr. Andrew Wakefield, who had his medical license stripped away when he began to really ask scientific questions about the links between vaccines and the health effects in children. And then others have said, well, there's a link between vaccines and autism, for example. Now, it wasn't Wakefield who actually said that, but then he is smeared in the media as saying that Wakefield said vaccines cause autism, and they use that disinformation, completely lying about him, to take away his license. it looks like they're attempting to do similar things to you.
It's endless, the harassment. I've been accused of lying over and over again. I was accused of ducking the FedEx guy when a package was supposedly delivered here. When I said I was out of town, I was actually in West Virginia. I had to provide airline tickets showing where I was. I had to provide a floor plan to show where I sit in relation to the door. Yeah, because I was accused of being here when the FedEx man came. I mean, it's just ridiculous, and if it was any other attorney that fell in the line or was part of the old boy network, my explanations that I provided would have solved this matter. And they weren't. It's so outrageous. I have no choice. I don't care anymore. I mean, I do care about the children. And if I have to lose my license to elevate this issue, then that's my destiny. I mean, I don't think I will, because, I'm hoping that I'm going to get in front of a judge that's finally going to take a look at this and say, hey, what the heck is going on?
Right. You'll have plenty of support, by the way.
I'm sorry.
I'm saying you'll have plenty of support in the alternative media, the real media, like INFOWARS Nightly News. That's where the real news gets reported. You can't expect a fair coverage in the hoax prostitute press, or the prostitutes, as we sometimes say out there. Just like Wakefield did not get a fair shake out there. Any final thoughts in closing?
Yes, on Dr. Wakefield, I watched in horror as he was picked apart, and it was awful what happened to him. And I can tell you that I'm going through exactly the same thing. I'm a good woman. I'm a moral woman. I work hard. I've helped thousands of people with their rights to avoid vaccinations, and I'm being barred admission to the Supreme Court because I'm accused of not stamping an envelope with the words attorney advertising when it wasn't even, in my opinion, an advertisement. It was a letter to a doctor. So
well, it also strikes me as odd that the highest attorney in our nation, Attorney Eric Holder, Attorney General Eric Holder, he's involved in running guns into Mexico, illegal firearms crossing the border as part of really a false flag scheme to blame the Second Amendment. I mean, you've got high-level attorneys throughout Washington who are committing crimes, who are pedophiles, who are raping children, who are violating the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, who are taking bribery money, who are just violating every ethical standard of practicing law, and then they come after you for this?
I'm a housewife from New York,
It's incredible.
It is incredible, and I'm done. Gloves are off, and I'm going to go to the appellate division, and I'm going to get in front of a judge, and I'm going to show him what I have been subjected to because, I faxed the letter instead of mailing it, or I didn't write attorney advertising on an envelope. It's ridiculous. I cannot argue these cases in the Supreme Court of the United States because of this harassment, and that's really what has brought me to the media. I'm done. I am the one that I should be bringing this case before the court, and yes. I will indeed.
Well, please continue to speak out. We love your attitude, Patricia. We want to wish you our love and our support in your endeavor to speak the truth and stand up for these children who are being harmed by vaccines, or at least we should say that the parents should have the right to choose whether they wish to expose their children to these vaccines, many of which are linked to seizures and some linked to death. So, you are really an American hero, and I appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Patricia. Good to have you on INFOWARS Nightly News. All right, folks, that was the interview with Patricia Finn. Check out her Facebook page at Patricia Finn Attorney, and stay in touch with her activities. We'll be covering her continued coverage here on Infowars.com. Perhaps Alex will talk to her down the road. We'll let him decide. But this is a very important story, so stay tuned in on what the outcome is. We will continue to fight for her free speech rights and the right to represent parents who are trying to protect their children from the dangers of vaccines. Thank you.